Hello everybody and welcome to WCS America Premier League Round of 32 Group C action, as today is Monday, August the 4th, and I'm of course Kevin the Coy, also known as Ro32, but you guys can still call me Roddy. And with me is still, he made it home safely and he came back, Nathan Fabricant. Nate, how are my driving skills? Are they safe?
You're a little bit reckless.
No,
so that's good.
That's not true. That's
Roddy's a good driver.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like we're shooting scenes of Tokyo Drift, but other times it's smooth sailing.
It's definitely not that bad, guys. We are so excited to be bringing you guys Group C today, as this is a group that many of you have been looking forward to as soon as the groups were announced, and well, we were right with you. This is an awesome group, Nate. We have 4 amazing players in action today, but before we do that, we can just take a look at the round of 32, take a look at all the groups, as of course last week we finished up 2 groups already, and Hyun and Neep advanced of Group A, and Jim and I guess Group B was definitely a group of upsets advanced to Group B. That was last Tuesday. It's been non-stop StarCraft ever since. We had a lot of tournaments over the weekend. We have been busy as well, casting a little bit of Intel Extreme Masters qualifier. But today, Nate, all of our eyes are going to be on Polt, Oz, Jaedong, and MacSed. Will today be that day that we're going to talk about for the rest of the season, Nate?
I don't know. It's going to be sick. Of course, coming up this week, you guys can see Group D and E will be played out. We're going to have players like Pig Baby, last season's champion, Shauna, the new Chinese Protoss that upset Crank in the Challenger, and then Group E, we're going to have our one of our first new American players, Ariam, coming up.
Yeah, that's going to be
and
so
a group
fun.
of other favorites. And down the line, of course, next week we're going to wrap up the round of 32 with Group F, G, and H. And I mean, this has been getting pretty cool. And like you said, we've had a lot of interesting results so far. Certainly some upsets. And I'm wondering if the trend of our non-Korean players getting out of groups is going to continue today with MacSed.
It's going to be very difficult, but that's what we already thought when MacSed went up in his Challenger match, when he went up against Ryan. I think a lot of us just thought, like, well, Axiom's Ryan, once upon a time a GSL semi-finalist, and above all, such a solid performer in WCS America. And hey, the same can be said about MacSed, don't get me wrong, but on paper, Ryan was a pretty big favorite. However, MacSed showed us with, nothing too flashy, nothing too fancy, just really solid passive play, that he's able to defeat Korean Terrans. But today, Nate, he's going to have to do even better than that if he wants to make it once more to the round of 16, something he has done twice in his career already. It's possible, but it's going to be very difficult. 3 times even, actually. 3 times he made it already to the round of 16 in his career.
Yeah. His first opponent, of course, isn't going to be any pushover. Our first match of the day, Polt will face off against MacSed. Polt, who had pretty good runs in WCS America. I mean, taking 2 championships last year. None this year yet, but he's gotten up there.
Yep, even though he didn't go all the way, he still collected plenty of WCS points down the road. As you guys can see, he's currently ranked 6th overall. Something really, really crazy, bizarre has to happen for Polt not to make it to BlizzCon at the end of the year. But hey, Nate, if you win 2 WCS Americas in 2013, I don't think it's too much to ask that you can just win 1 more in 2014. However, it's not going to be easy for Polt, especially because this group, out of all the groups I think that he's ever been in the round of 32, this group has a lot of upset potential, as all 3 of the other players in the group are extremely strong and difficult as well. Of course, our second match of the day is going to be between Jaedong and Oz. Now, Oz is also a pretty solid performer in WCS America, had a good run in Season 1, finished top 4 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, did very well, losing in the semifinal to Hyun, I believe.
Yep.
Was
either Hyun or yeah, it was Hyun, 100% sure.
Yeah,
because we had 2 PVCs in the
it was in the final. It was in the final. Oh, he beat Revival again.
Ah, yes, he made it to the final. He lost again. He beat Revival. That's right.
And of course, Jaedong, a player that I feel like a lot of people have been pushing for this year. He's been around. He's gotten some okay tournament results. Not quite the WCS finish that he's been looking for, though, as we ended up talking about how big of an upset it was that he lost in the round 32 last season of WCS America. But still, he's managed to actually pull together, I'd say, a surprising amount of WCS points, all things considered.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't have said it any better. All things considered, Jaedong being ranked 12 in the WCS ranking is nothing but impressive, considering the fact that he has dropped out in the round of 32 twice so far. He didn't make it to the top 16 in Season 1. He didn't make it top 16 in Season 2 either. Needless to say, we expect more of the Dong. But today, Nate, in the other groups, yeah, they're always difficult. No round of 32 is going to be easy. But if you're the one true Dong yourself, then you expect him to at least once make a top 8, maybe even a top 4. A championship wouldn't be unthinkable. It would be beautiful. I know a lot of people would be really excited to see Jaedong, you know, lift that trophy of WCS America, but it hasn't been his year in WCS. If he makes a good run, however, this time, then he was really putting himself in a good position for BlizzCon. And of course, Jaedong being the runner-up last year at BlizzCon, we expect him to be there once more. Seeing Jaedong to be the ultimate champion in 2014 by winning BlizzCon, I think that would be a fairy tale story. That would be beautiful for so many people. I don't think there are a whole lot of people other than other competitors that would be sad to see Jaedong lift the BlizzCon trophy.
Yeah, like I said, that's like the only people that really wouldn't want Jaedong to be there are the people that might have to play against him, because we know he's very good, very talented, just hasn't had much luck in WCS America, taken out last season partially by one of the other Chinese Protoss players that we have competing quite a bit. And I'm interested to see if he ends up going against MacSed at some point in this group, just how things are going to play out. Because last season, he got it with some really aggressive play.
Yep, it's definitely possible. Last season he was in sort of in a group of death as well, though. Back then it was Sean, Hart, and Jim. And then if you don't expect Jaedong to make it out, you expect him to at least finish 3rd. But no, he finished 4th. He was the first player to be eliminated. Either way, as you guys can see, we're really stoked for this day. It's going to be fun. This is day 2 of the marathon that Nate and me are starting. You're going to see us a lot in the upcoming 2 weeks. So hopefully you guys are going to have a lot of fun with that. I know we're going to have fun. It's going to be a little exhausting at a certain point, Nate, when it's going to be back to back to back to back to back. But we're still going to try to enjoy it as much as possible. And I don't think it's going to be very difficult with the plays that we have today. We're excited. Hopefully you guys are excited as well. Let us know. Hashtag, I won't say hashtag IEM, but hashtag WCS. That's what we're doing today. And of course, make sure to follow StarCraft at facebook.com/StarCraft and twitter.com/StarCraft. And of course, you guys can always like ESL TV as well if you like what we're doing over here.
Yeah, we like to hear what you guys are saying. Checking your tweets in between the games. Your tweets might pop up on stream. So the more entertaining they are, the better. Let us know who you guys want to win. Of course, this is a group where I think picking the 2 people that will advance is a bit more difficult than some of the others. Although, I guess we could have said that about the first 2 groups, but there were some pretty big upsets there as well.
Yep, there were pretty big upsets, because only 2.83%, if I recall correctly, predicted Igas in the ESL Fantasy League to win Group B. Well, if you guys were a part of that 2.83%, then you're probably on the better end of things today as well. As hard as today is to predict, I guess it's going to be easy then to predict Igas to win Group B. Of course, guys, we want to encourage everybody to check out fantasy.eslgaming.com/SE2. You can still pick players to win the group. You can do it in every single region. Above all, WCS Europe is starting in the near future. I believe the group drawings have been announced this morning. They look juicy. They look feisty. I have to pick my Europe team, Nate. I haven't done it yet.
No, I haven't picked my Europe team yet either. I'll try to actually do it the proper way, because I know I messed up when I picked my American team. I picked a lot of underdogs, but I didn't pick the right underdog so far. I got Arium, but I didn't pick Igas. So
yeah, Arium is going to be super fun. I can't wait for that group later this week. I believe it's going to be played on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Either way, we're pretty much good to go. I'm going to let the players know that we are ready. I selected the right overlay for once. It's going to be a great day of StarCraft. Hopefully you guys are excited. As we are the first map between Polt and MacSed is going to be played on Overgrowth. Our Chinese Protoss is ready. Our Korean Terran is ready. Now, we have plenty of time to talk about the PvT style. We already touched upon it a little bit in our introduction. MacSed qualified for WCS America Premier League this season, Nate, by defeating Ryang 3-1. And, you know, we went over it before. And as much as I love MacSed, and I really do, this is definitely not a way to criticize him, he is not the most exciting Protoss to watch.
No, he's going to sit back. He's going to macro up. And maybe we see, I think, like an Oracle opening is possible. But outside of that, I don't see anything really crazy or very high. As far as like multitasking goes, like he likes to sit back, defend, build his perfect little house, and then defend it.
Yeah, and then when the house survives the storm, he's going to expand.
Yes, with a lot of Phoenix.
And then he wins. Either way, game number 1 is live on Overgrowth as we're already loaded in. And you guys can see that the WCS America 2013 two-time champion, Cooler Master Storm Polt, is our Korean Terran, spawning on the right top side of Overgrowth. We casted quite a few games with him yesterday, Nate, as Polt was one of the top 3 finishes in the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto qualifier. And that's of course good, but it didn't really go in the way that we normally expect Polt to qualify for a North American tournament, as he didn't win it, Nate.
No, He actually took an interesting loss to Major, 3-0. Thankfully for him, he doesn't have any Terran opponents in this group. In the bottom left position, representing Invictus Gaming, we have the Chinese Protoss in blue. He is MacSed.
One of the 3 Chinese Protoss players this season in WCS America. Jim advanced, right? He advanced behind Major, behind Icus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his body already made it. Jim making a reappearance. Jim didn't have a very successful 2014 WCS so far. One time he missed out on Premier League. One time he dropped out in the round of 32. But this time he's going to be part of our round of 16 once more, as he qualified last week in Group B. And of course, we know MacSed and Jim are pretty big buddies, despite the big age differential between both. Something that you won't really tell if you don't know that much about him. But MacSed is a solid 10 years older than Jim.
That is actually really interesting. Some of these guys are actually pretty old. MacSed is one of the oldest in WCS.
Yeah, I guess just Nesty is older than him, right?
Yeah. But MacSed, Bomber's close, right?
Yeah, Bomber is 26, but I believe that MacSed is like high 20s, 27 or 28 even.
Yeah. There was, Courage was one of the other players that tried to qualify. I remember in Challenger, he was saying he's actually like 14, 15 years older than Arium. He's actually like double Arium's lifespan already.
He can truly say, Arium, you know nothing.
Arium is the youngest player to be in WCS ever, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Well, Maru maybe.
Was Maru in GSL when he was 13? I don't know.
I mean, Arium is not 13.
No, isn't he?
No, Arium is like either...
He's like 13 or 14 right now.
He's definitely 14 and he might be 15. Or he's turning 15 in August.
Okay.
Either way, we saw MacSed opening up with the Scout. Everything is very standard so far on the other side of the map, as Polt is going for the Wonder X fast expand build. Popped out the Reaper, and the Reaper is making his way across the map. And MacSed is just going to go for a 1-gate fast expand. Now, it's likely that MacSed is going to follow this up with a Stargate. He will just open up with a single Oracle. Obviously, he would love to pick up a couple of SCVs, but he's not really going to rely on that Oracle to do crazy amounts of damage. Unless MacSed decides to bring out a couple of crazy strategies. But if he would do that, Nate, I don't think it's going to be in the first series of the day. Of course, you know, we are using the GSL format. That means 2 guys play against each other, winners play against each other, then losers play against each other. And then we have a deciders match. I think MacSed in his first series of the day, he would always go with what people expect from him and what we know that he likes to do. And there we do see the Stargate. And this is really not Nate and me doing crazy amounts of homework and being so well prepared. It's just kind of in the line of expectation. If you guys have watched MacSed play, I'm pretty sure you guys would have felt the exact same way. However, you know, if he would go up against Polt in, let's say, the deciders match, which is possible, then it's possible that he goes 1-gate fast expand and drops 7 gates and just all-ins the hell out of Polt. Because if you don't expect it, if you're so sure that our opponent is going to open up with a Stargate, you might not have a bunker in time to, or you know, multiple bunkers, or do not scout properly, and suddenly, you know, crazy gateway all-in surprises you.
Yeah, that Oracle is on the way. Polt's been using these 3 barracks to churn out a bunch of Marines. Of course, 6 Marines is all you need to defend a single Oracle. And at this stage, we've seen actually MacSed on this map in particular against Ryung. This is one of the first maps, as you said, he kind of opened up with his standard style we saw after the Oracle. Actually, I don't even know if he built an Oracle versus Ryung, but he went for a very heavy amount of Phoenix that he had tucked in on the left side, basically saying, you shall not drop. You're not going to drop me at all, mostly because if you try, I'm going to have 8 Phoenix destroy your medevac in 3 seconds and then counter push and kill you.
Polt, I'm not sure if he has played against MacSed before. It's been a long time if they have, but MacSed has definitely gone up against Stasia multiple times in the same tournament as Polt was in, and Polt is definitely familiar with MacSed by now. He's not a new face anymore to this league. Polt knows about Phoenix Colossus. Polt knows about potential Oracle openings, and of course he could have done his homework and he could have looked at the VODs where MacSed went up against Ryung. And Polt, you know, being the pro that he is, I definitely expect him to do stuff like that. And even when he didn't scout the Stargate, Nate, he has Marines positioned like he's saying, I have a feeling that you might open up with an Oracle.
Yeah, Polt certainly did his homework, because, you know, it's funny because Polt is also one of those players that if this was a different Protoss, not a Protoss that we would say would build Stargates, he might have actually moved out very early on with his first few Marines and like a really fast Marauder, which is also pretty standard right now in turn versus Protoss, so he knows he needs to be a little bit careful. And him building these missile turrets is a sign that he is ready to move out, because he just wants a little bit of defense back home.
Yeah, I kind of like this kind of push already.
And his stim is almost done.
Yep. This is a crazy push. The Oracle will drop Revelation, but if you're MacSed, you see this army marching across the map. There is a lot of potential DPS in this army, guys. This is 21 Marines and 3 Marauders. Yeah, Photon Overcharge is pretty good, don't get me wrong, but is it that good? I don't think that MacSed... Can he deal with this, Nate? I actually think MacSed is going to lose a lot of stuff over here.
He might just be able to stem in and kill him. Like, this is going to be incredibly difficult to stop. Look, runs the Reaper into the main base as well. Polt steps up. There's the Photon Overcharge. He's just going to stim, and if he backs off too far, he might even just try to focus the Nexus. Runs up, 2 Zealots killed, kills the Sentry, 1 Stalker, 2 Stalkers, and killing all of these Stalkers. And this Immortal in the main base, he's actually killed every single fighting unit that MacSed has. Warps in a couple of Zealots, but those...
Now the probes.
At this point, the probes. That Reaper's already been killing probes.
Oh my god, the Reaper already picked up 2 probes as well. These Marines being microed very, very good over here by Polt. This is an absolute massacre. Eventually, MacSed will be able to clean this up, but not before, Nate. He is down 7 workers now. He has lost a grand total of 10 probes. He has lost his Mothership Core, lost the Sentry, lost the Stalkers, lost the Immortal. Pretty much lost everything you don't want to lose as a Protoss in this phase in the game.
Yeah, that was a very sharp attack by Polt, and basically, because he opened up with an Oracle, you delay your other tech just a little bit enough that you don't have quite what you need to defend against a big bio push like that. And the Oracle steps up. He's like, okay, I'm going to try to kill a few SCVs, but only gets 2. Comes very close to losing his Oracle, and the stim...
The Oracle will live for now. Picked up a couple of kills, so that's at least something for MacSed. He has killed 4 SCVs so far. If he flies forward, he can kill this command center. He can actually do this multiple times. Did he see it already? Yeah, he's going to be... He doesn't have much energy, but he has enough to activate it, kill the SCV, and back off. That's a good job there by MacSed. But I'm very... he does have a Colossus for the next push. Take a look at the upgrades. No thermal lens yet. MacSed even being supply block, which means the second Colossus is going to be a little later to the party. This Phoenix group, he would love to have 4 or 5 by now. He has 1, soon to be 2. A little bit of a disaster opening over here for a Chinese Protoss player, Nate.
Yeah, I agree. This has been a very difficult position for him. He's going to continue to try to deny this 3rd command center, which I really like.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, that's one way to do it. He sees a mine, he's like, well, maybe
he can still do it from this angle, I guess.
Yeah, Polt saw that the 3rd base started up for MacSed as well on the bottom side of the map. And now he's getting ready to potentially put some pressure on this. There's not a very large gateway army, so even though there's a Colossus, if he takes 1 step forward too far, I think Polt could actually just stim and right-click on that Colossus and then win the game.
And these 3 bad boys are really important as Marauders. As soon as they get close to a Colossus, they know how to deal with it. Polt is going to get a cancel on this Nexus.
Yeah, there's not even Colossus range. He can't fight this.
Nope.
He hasn't even started Colossus range. That's how broke he is.
Broke as a joke. Not very often do you see a Protoss player having too much gas and not enough minerals. Today we saw that day.
He does start up range now. He's continuing to put out the Phoenix count, but the Phoenix count is going up very slowly. He's only building his 5th now. So, Polt, he hasn't yet actually built.
Second starport,
just 2 Vikings.
I think he has 2nd starport already.
Yeah, now he's going to build 4 Vikings at a time. He knows what he needs.
If Polt hasn't done his homework, Nate, then he's the god of all Terrans, and I do believe that Polt is extremely good, but this looks like a very well-prepared Terran. That's, of course, you know, the strength of a WCS format like this, and that's why you have to be a little bit more unpredictable as a player. Now, obviously, MacSed is not down and out, even though he did end up losing the Oracle there. Still has a small chance, but when a player like Polt, Nate, has such a good idea of what you're going to do, I'm not sure if I'm digging it as a Protoss. Like, I really think I'm going to have to switch up my style a little bit. Polt is having an excellent answer against MacSed's predictable playstyle in game number 1 so far. But Polt still has to be very careful, because 1 bad fight, and Phoenix Colossus can definitely snowball.
Yeah, it's as soon as you lose all your medevacs or your Vikings, and if the Colossi are still alive, just 1 or 2 of them, you're never going to get close enough to that army to actually kill it, and then the Colossi just kill your whole army anyway. He runs to the left, it's like, oh, I want to get the Phoenix. No, not in range.
Yeah, and these Marines are cowards. They should be able to step over a little bit of grass. Start shooting at a few Marines.
It's, oh.
Ooh, what a juicy shot. Man.
It's Colossi.
Alright, that's more how MacSed likes to do it, of course. Get a couple of nice volleys off. He's actually moving out, Nate. He's going up to 3 bases. But he has too many probes to our 2-base Protoss, so I think he will let it finish. This is a little tricky. The Viking count is currently at 10 already. Okay.
That should be enough.
That should be enough.
And the bio is going to spread out really nicely, too.
Well, MacSed has to be so careful over here, Nate. If he ends up losing his Colossus, the rest of the army is sitting ducks for, you know, the bio forces of Polt. Even though, okay, there he is. I was like, where is Polt's army?
At this point, MacSed really has to, if he wants to attack, he needs to do it now, because there's going to be 4 more Vikings out in just a few seconds' time. Takes first couple of shots against those Phoenix.
I mean, of course, Polt wants to kill the Colossus first. You don't want to waste your Phoenix DPS, and definitely don't want to overkill or your Viking DPS on these Phoenixes. MacSed starts working on his orbital. Definitely looks a little tricky for Polt, but Polt is doing a good job. He's going to have 14 Vikings now, and there are 4 more on the way with 18 Vikings. There's no way that he should die against this army of MacSed.
I love that he lifts the command center to let these Marines run in even further. First 2 Colossi targeted down. 2 remaining, 1 last Colossus standing, and he will be able to kill all this off. And now it's just Marines and Marauders versus Stalkers. Are there enough Marauders on the ground left over to fight this? I think so, man. He's got plenty of medevacs too.
It's actually relatively close. It was a little closer than I expected it to be. Oh no, Colossus just runs into a bunch of Marauders, so that Colossus will die immediately. And even though MacSed was up to 3 bases, he is going to tap out. GG is called, and Polt will pick up game number 1 on Overgrowth after just, you can see it from start to finish, Nate. He was so well prepared to deal with this style of MacSed.
Yeah, I like that cute little move he did, just picking up his command center, just basically not allowing his own building to be a force field against him and reduce the surface area he could get on the Protoss army, because I don't think MacSed was expecting that. The arc for Polt was really good, and just the Viking count, like going into double starport that fast.
That early.
If he was missing maybe 6 or so Vikings that he built off the second starport, that becomes a much more difficult attack to hold off.
Yep, because not only, we can just take another look at that final battle, as this is how most of MacSed games will go against Terran. He puts all his eggs in one basket, and he wants to win the game with this one big fight. But look at the Vikings, they're completely ignoring the Phoenixes, and that's the way you want to deal with this style. Because yes, that Protoss army on the ground, it looks like it's a lot, but there's almost no DPS in these Stalkers, there's no DPS in these slow Zealots that had no upgrades at all. Polt knows as soon as he takes care of the Colossus, if he just has a few Marauders surviving the fight, he is going to win.
Yeah, and didn't help having that rallied Colossus get snapped up.
No.
At the same time, so map number 2 will be merry-go-round, and well, Polt just seems really well prepared. I don't know how else to say it. Polt didn't need to do anything overly fancy. That push early on was nice, but I think that's also, it can be like a calculated risk against a player that if you know they're going to open Oracle, then you can naturally assume as well that they're going to have very late Colossus. Even if like there was a way to have a Colossus out in time for that attack, he wouldn't have, because he opened Oracle, he still wouldn't have, like, he wouldn't have his sentries, or he'd be missing Stalkers. Like, he would only have that Colossus.
Because MacSed style is 1 gate, Stargate, into Robo Bay, into adding 2 more gates. So this is the quickest Colossus you're ever going to get after a Stargate opening, and there's just no quicker way to get it. This 3-Rex is going to hit right before. If MacSed would have opened up 1 gate, Stargate, 2 more gateways, then there is a chance that he's going to be able to deal with that push a lot better. You know, drop good force fields, has a couple of additional Zealots to soak up the damage, let the Mothership Core, you know, do its job, because that time warp as well, that was more of like, okay, I might as well just use my energy because I don't know what else to do with it. But when the units are standing below your Mothership Core and you time warp it, it doesn't really change that much anymore. If he would have dropped the time warp when the units were running in, then Photon Overcharge gets a few shots off. But in general, Protoss players are very hesitant in using 200 energy immediately. You kind of want to see, can I do it with 100? But then suddenly you realize, like, nope, I can't. I need both spells. Either way, game number 2 is going to be played on merry-go-round between our Korean Terran player who is currently living in Atlanta, Georgia. And that is, of course, this Red Terran spawning at the 6 o'clock position. CM Storm's Polt.
Yep, currently enjoying a 1-0 lead in this best of 3. And I have to say, he didn't really make any mistakes at all in that last game. Just followed through. And I assume he's done a good amount of studying to know what this guy is up to. In the top right, the blue Protoss player, representing Invictus Gaming, hailing from China, he is MacSed.
Now I really wonder if he is going to do the exact same thing again. Or if he's like, hey, if Polt is going to do the exact same thing again, I'm not sure if I can deal with that. We can take a look at the natural of merry-go-round as well. There is a difference between Overgrowth and merry-go-round, guys, and that's, of course, this ramp. That makes it, in general, a little bit more tricky because you don't have high-ground vision immediately. So you might take a couple of extra shots before your units start fighting. However, Polt had such an overwhelming amount of units that it was worth it regardless. It doesn't really matter how the natural is designed. But if MacSed adds 2 more gateways before he tags up to Colossus, Nate, then suddenly he has a few more force fields to work with, maybe 2-3 extra Zealots, maybe an extra Stalker. Then I believe he's going to be able to defend a lot easier, especially if he would use the Oracle at home as well. In general, you're very hesitant about using your Oracle, because if the Marines decide to focus the Oracle once, it's just impossible to micro it, because the range of the Oracle is so short that they're kind of hovering above this Terran army. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see what our Chinese Protoss player, who is representing Invictus Gaming, is going to bust out in game number 2 against the Terran that seems very well prepared to deal with his style. Polt.
Yeah, Polt he's always been a solid, consistent player, and I'm not really surprised to see him open up with a very standard, safe play. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we had the same build order twice from Polt. If he just goes for a Reaper Expand, gets up to 3 barracks, and just keeps the Marines at home, tucks them in. Now, as a Protoss player, if you know that a Terran's going to split their Marines up between their 2 bases, do you see any way that MacSed can try to abuse Polt metagaming him?
I mean, he could try to hide a couple of gateways and then just run up Polt's ramp and you know, drop a force field over here, because if there are 7, 8, 9 Marines, you can actually just run up immediately, because the remaining Marines can't fight a Protoss gateway army. But that's also super risky, because if that plan backfires, well, then needless to say, you're in quite a bit of trouble. So I don't know. I would say just play more defensive if I was MacSed, and as good as a Colossus is, it's not good if your opponent attacks that quickly, because the first Colossus just won't be out in time.
Yeah. As Reaper gets in, starts poking away. Got nice little tweet there. Person said they logged into Twitter for the first time in months just to say that they love WCS.
Oh,
how nice. How sweet.
That is amazing. That actually warms my heart a little bit, Nate. That these people go out of their way, use that password recovery. Because like, man,
what? I forgot my password.
What password did I use again?
I had to take up my old phone because it was locked to that. Like, I never even used this thing. So the Reaper's going to get pushed away by the Stalker in the Mothership core. There is a robotics facility on the way, though.
Yep. So he's skipping the Stargate this game. Yeah. He's going to do he's like, hey, what if I do the exact same thing, but I don't make a Stargate? Well, in that case, MacSed, you definitely will have your Colossus out in time. Maybe just add the Stargate afterwards, because the Phoenix opening or the Oracle opening didn't really get a whole lot done anyway. Like, yeah, the scouting information is nice, but, you know, MacSed doesn't know this. We know this, though. Polt is doing the exact same thing again.
Yep. And I guess since he doesn't know about that robotics facility, Reaper wants to keep moving around, but there are Stalkers here. But what I think right now for Polt, like, he doesn't actually have to do anything crazy, though, even though his opponent isn't opening with that Oracle, because he could try to hit the same timing, which would be much more difficult to pull off.
I wouldn't recommend trying to hit the exact same timing.
No.
Because then there is a chance he ends up losing a lot of bio units, doesn't really get a whole lot done, and he could die against silly counterattacks. Even if MacSed doesn't go for a Colossus, which I think he will, but imagine if he would have just gone for Immortal Sentry, like a boss like that. If you throw away 15 bio units early on, there's no way you're ever going to stop that counterattack.
Yeah, I agree. You're the last thing you want to do is try to charge up, especially on this map, right? Because on Overgrowth, you didn't really have that ramp leading into the natural. You just had that kind of whole high ground natural area, which makes it a lot easier for a Terran to poke up and assess whether or not they can actually attack. But like this, he actually gets an Immortal too, and he does start a Robotics Bay, just maybe a little bit later than he could have squeezed out otherwise. Reaper comes in though, a really good scout for Polt to be able to see the Robotics facility. Doesn't see the bay though. No.
I think that's something he would love to see. So now Polt is just definitely not in an awkward position, because there's nothing wrong with the 3-Rex opening. Like, Bomber likes to do this all the time. But Polt's gonna have to think about it. Does he want to do the exact same thing again? So far it looks like it. Last time it was 21 Marines when he moved across the map and 3 Marauders. This time it's 20 Marines. Okay, now it's 21 again and 3 Marauders. Yeah, it's literally the exact same push. However, Nate, these 2 gateways are not ready yet. Like, again,
there's no sentries, and the Colossus is just about to start. So this actually has a lot of potential. He just now has a sentry, but 1 force field can't block this ramp off.
Yeah, this Colossus probably won't be out in time. This is gonna get real dicey once more.
Polt scans. I think when these Marines show up, he could actually just the photon overcharge is already. I
kind of like that, because that's gonna give him a few extra shots. He had a second observer. He wants to bring it in. Here goes Polt once more. Now the 3 gateways are ready. The Zealots being warped in, but they actually die immediately. Uh-oh, these bio units are getting way too close again to this Protoss
Kills
force.
everything. He's like, okay, actually there's an Immortal. Well, I'm just going to ignore that. I think killing the Immortal would be nice, but he just wants to kill probes, man. Oh, these probes are actually stuck. The cybernetics core, they can't get away.
Oh, God.
It's a probe massacre, Roddy.
Wow, this is even worse than the last game, Nate.
Yeah.
14 workers have gone down. Yeah, now the Colossus shows
You have a... He's like, sup, guys? I heard you had some Marines to deal with. He's like, oh, actually, everything looks pretty calm here, huh?
He's like, hey, man, you're a few seconds too late for this party. Good call there by Polt to just go for it again. And, you know, MacSed's opening is just really greedy, Nate. Like, he's
double
getting...
forge.
Yeah, but above all, like, he delays the 2 gateways. If he gets those 2 gateways before he drops the Robo Bay, and in the grand scheme of things, it's really not going to slow him down that much. And then he's going to be fine. But of course, once again, he opened up with it was even a triple observer opening, I believe. Yeah, he opened up with 3 observers, and then Immortal then drops the Robo Bay, and only then gets the 2 extra gateways. And yeah, maybe if those first 2 Zealots are here immediately, he can do a little bit more with it, but it wouldn't even change that much. Of course, it's a lot easier for Polt to snipe units that are currently being wiped in. Polt is all over this best of 3 so far, and MacSed just having trouble dealing with this pretty simple 3-racks opening of Polt. Yep.
And Polt's also done a good job of clearing out observers. He doesn't have any on his side of the map, just the final one. He said he built 3, there's only 1 remaining for MacSed, and he kind of has to keep cranking out Colossi, because Polt is not going to slow down the pain train anytime soon. Now, I do believe that these 2 Colossi with range finishing in about a minute or 2 should be okay to hold on to this natural, but that's when the drops come into play.
Yep, MacSed should be okay for a while, as the Twilight Console did finish up, and he's going to research Blink. Now, we all know that the Protoss with this build can definitely sit...
He's really going to go for it?
No.
Okay, baits out the frozen overcharge.
It's just nice, because it's going to make his drop adventure a little stronger. But we all know, Nate, that Protoss on 2 bases with Twilight and, of course, you know, Double Forge is able to comfortably sit there for a while and not stress too much, because he's going to get a nice upgrade advantage. He's already firing up 2-2. Polt is currently on 1-0. He's working on his armor. So that's the only thing that MacSed has going for himself. He has an upgrade advantage. He's down 10 workers, and that's pretty uncommon in this matchup, to be down 10 workers 12 minutes into the game as a Protoss against the Terran.
Yeah, well, especially considering that the Terran macro mechanic of Mule gives them additional income beyond just that, you know, that static worker count. So Polt has a really serious income advantage, pulling in 2,200 resources per minute compared to, well, even spiking to 2,500 compared to just 1,300, 1,400. It's a lot of extra. That's like double his income, basically.
Yep, he's getting just 1,000 minerals a minute more. Marauders Stim Guardian Shield is popped. Now, the attack, a 2-2 gateway timing attack with Blink and Colossus, can still be scary. I believe currently we're still sitting at 1. No, wow, he already has double stop with again.
Yeah, man, he knows what he needs.
Where's the second? Oh, it's over here. This time no double reactor though, but still. 3 Vikings at a time is also nothing too shabby.
Yep, Polt knows, by the way, there's no third base, as he had Marines parked on both. He just lost his Marine at the north side, so he can anticipate that MacSed will be starting a Nexus, and he has. And these Marines are already getting ready to... Polt's already in Nexus sniping mode. He's like, okay.
Yeah. Do you have the feeling that MacSed wants to protect his Nexus? He's on 47 workers.
I say yes, because I mean he's got his whole army here. He does have a little bit split off in the main base to defend against any counter drops.
I almost feel like it's a bait. However, you can of course just sit back and actually try to just start building probes 3 at a time as soon as his Nexus is done.
I get the impression that he might try to use the simpler archives just for High Templar, like just for Archons, and not take the gas on his third base, because right now his goal should be to max out, because he's lost so much. Otherwise, like Polt's gonna max out faster than him. It's like almost guaranteed at this point. So he just wants to wait until they're both maxed out, and then he has another chance, I think, at this game.
Yep. He has a Warp Prism on the way as well. I kind of feel like he wants to cancel that Nexus. Of course, he would love to bait Polt into it and actually force Polt to lose a lot of units trying to cancel this Nexus. Polt will be able to cancel this Nexus, but he's gonna... Oh, no cancel by MacSed. That's 400 minerals, Nate. That's 400 minerals he could have definitely been using.
Yeah, that's a big loss. And that Viking count still ever rising. And he actually has not begun his 3-3 upgrades. 3 pylons put up here.
Yeah, I don't really understand that.
I guess he realized he supply block and just grabbed the first probe he could see.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, the problem is Polt's 2-2 upgrades are actually going to finish in the next minute, so if MacSed wants to fight, he has to go now, because he's not building towards anything else anymore.
He's pretty much going to go now, and the only way that MacSed can somehow win is if the blinks are really... Oh, well, that would be an awesome little pickoff. He's going to blink forward. He's actually going to be able to get quite a few bio units here, because this is normally not a fight that Polt wants to take. He still has another blink available as well. This is a good way for MacSed to start off his attack.
Yep. Those Stalkers pick off one medevac. Almost a second one.
Good army movement there by Polt. There are Widow Mines in the mix as well. Do we have an observer? Yes, we have one observer.
I do like the Widow Mines. Not too many medevacs actually to heal this Bioforce because he's been building Vikings. Yeah, the other Widow Mines actually do a nice good job of chunking out those Zealots. He's got the spread. He's kiting back. He wants the Vikings to kill the Colossi before anything else actually engages. And so far, so good.
Archons are here, Nate. Oh, if two Colossus survive...
target those clumped up Vikings. One Colossus stands, though. He's actually taking the Mothership Core now.
Time warp. Only Marauders left. Marauders are not very good. There is still an Immortal in the mix as well. MacSed, even though he's down 40 supply, Nate, in theory he can do this with this one Colossus that's wailing away at these bio units. He's still
the Widow Mine just killed. The Widow Mine just killed something.
The Mothership Core. Oh my God, they're killing so much.
These Widow Mines actually chunked out all the shields on the Colossus. He might be able to snipe it now. Yeah, those Widow Mines actually really helped him stabilize this push.
For a few more Gateway units are being warped in, but right now there's no more Colossus, there's no more Immortal.
And 2-2 is done for Polt, which means even upgrades in these Zealots, they're not going to be able to blow through these Marines as fast as they otherwise would.
No, but I think this is going to be curtains for MacSed. He's down 50 supply. The SCVs were pulled by Polt, so maybe MacSed feels like, hey, he lost a lot of units too, but MacSed definitely lost a few more. He has a lot of money in the bank as well, so he's just going to try to do the same thing all over again. That those Widow Mines, Nate, and that Observer being out of position changed everything because a Time Warp, an Immortal that was pretty much still full on HP, but the Widow Mine did so much splash damage, it killed a couple of units, and above all, took out the shields of the Immortal, it did damage to the Mothership Core. It really complicated things, because since Polt was so Marauder heavy, with a few extra Zealots, I think MacSed was in an okay position. Yeah, he was down 30 supply, but you know how it is, when there are no Vikings, yeah, you might be up in units, but of course above all, Polt was really up in SCVs as well.
He's going to come up here, another little skirmish, as MacSed prepares for what I can only imagine is his final attack of this game, because Polt is on 4 bases now, and there's already a force getting ready to cancel the third of MacSed once more. And MacSed, he kind of, I don't know, just warping whatever else you got in attack, because I really don't think there's anything else that he can do. He needs like the most beautiful engagement ever.
Since the main base is mined out, he's just going to try to mine from this base and keep the pressure up. But there is no storm, there is absolutely zero map vision for MacSed, and playing PvT while you're blind is extremely difficult. Those 3-3 upgrades, like you said, they're on the way. Polt is up 60 or 55 supply. That's looking bad for MacSed. He's going to lose his base as well. I hope MacSed cancels this time, because he can use the extra minerals. Now he's going to lose all these pilots, and then again he has so much free supply that this time it's okay. Now this is going to be it. The good news is for MacSed is that a couple of these bio units from Polt are on the other side of the map now, Nate. And yes, they will be able to kill all these probes. However, you still have to worry about this big Protoss army.
That's right. He pulls the SCVs off of his third base. The Vikings immediately take out one Colossus, though, and he is just going to kite.
Survive.
He's just going to kite all day.
The Colossus is going to fall.
Does fall. And now it's just Zealots and Stalkers versus Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs. And Polt, he's got this in the bag. GG. And I think not necessarily an unexpected result there as Polt takes the 2-0 over the Chinese Protoss MacSed.
Yeah, things could have definitely gone a little better, and even when the game starts off poorly for MacSed, he still makes it rather close in these big fights, because if those Widow Mines wouldn't have been able to get the shots off that they did, and there was an Observer with the army, the Observer was just a tiny bit out of position. This is where you need the good old Control F2 to make sure that all the Observers that you have on the map, Nate, are always on top of your army. Because I'm surprised with the disaster opening of MacSed, that at a certain point I almost believed that he was going to win. And yes, he was always down 30-40 supply, but a solid 20 to 25 in that was in SCVs anyway, so that's not really a big deal. And if there are no Vikings, there were 2 Archons in the mix and an Immortal against a very heavy Marauder Terran. Like, I believed in that Protoss army. Before those Widow Mines took out all those
Immortals,
units.
Archons, and Zealots versus Marauders is a good fight for a Protoss.
Doesn't matter if you're Polt, but you're going to have a hard time kiting that army away, especially if that Colossus is always putting out the damage with its thermal lens.
Maybe if he slipped a few Zealots in the third during that too. Like, there's a couple things here and there, but Polt just... Polt, He's usually good at making things like this work. I think that time he caught a break with the Widow Mines. I think there were like 2 or 3 of them. And the splash damage did really a ton of work.
Yeah, and the Mothership Core died as well. Time Warp, even though Time Warp is not the deadly Time Warp from the last patch, it can still help a lot. Because, you know, Time Warp is going to give a Colossus time to get 2-3 extra volleys off before units retreat with that thermal lens. Either way, this means that Polt is going to pick up his first win of the day, and he will now be awaiting in the winners match. And we will figure that out. Who is that going to be after our next best of 3, which of course will be played between EG's Jaedong and Oz. Former teammates, Nate, former players that have run into each other quite a few times as well. Should be a pretty good PvZ series. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Jaedong brings to the table. I actually haven't seen any Jaedong games in a while myself.
Yeah. He was streaming this morning, which I thought was a little surprising, because either you're streaming and you're playing your real strats and everybody can see them, which is not very smart.
Yeah.
Or you're streaming and you're not playing your real strategies, but then you're not really preparing for your matches either. So.
You're doing the Supernova Mass Viking Widowmine stream.
Yeah, but like even if you're doing that, like maybe Jaedong already feels prepared, maybe Jaedong feels confident, I don't know. What I do know is that we're gonna head over to a very small commercial break. We'd like to hear from you guys once more. Hashtag WCS, let us know who you think is going to advance today. Let us know who you picked for your ESL fantasy team. I believe, Nate, I actually want to double check this. I believe I went with Polt, but it was a hard call for me to make.
I did go with Polt for this group.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but I went with Polt in the long haul. Either way, let us know. Hashtag WCS. We want to know what you guys think about the games. We want to know who you're cheering for. And of course, above all, who you picked in your fantasy team. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back with our second best of 3 of the day.